Hi, Peter Charles here, Folk to Life Fly Fishing. And if you saw my last video on making popper bodies out of flip-flops, we are going to now show you how to tie a popper using that material. So let's get started and look at materials. The hook here is actually a specialized popper hook put out by Mustad, and it's got this kink on it right there. And what that kink does is it prevents the popper body from twisting. Now, if you used a straight shank hook, what I would do is I'd run my material the full length. Now, that would obviously make it thick, but when I push the popper down on it, it would give it a good bonding surface. Today, I'm going to be using CA glue, but if you were to use a regular hook and you push your popper down over the material, it would open up the slit in the popper and leave a big opening where water can get in. CA glue doesn't do a good job in water. It doesn't remain viable over long exposures to water. So if you had a big gap like that and you use CA glue, it'll probably come apart eventually. So if you're going to do that, use epoxy. But because I can get a good tight seal, I think I can get away with using CA glue. I shouldn't have any real problems. Besides, it's easier for the video. It sets up quickly, as opposed to waiting for epoxy to cure in the middle of the video. So let's get started looking at the rest of the material. My thread is a black 6/0 Vivas. And as I say, I've made a popper body out of my flip-flop. And all the feathers are supplied by this Grizzly Chickaboo cape. So let's get started. And the first thing I'm going to do is push my popper body on. And this is just a sizing exercise. There we go. And this tells me where I can start my thread. So I'm going to start my thread about the hook point. Now I know I've got to leave a little bit of safety margin in there. Now I can just take that out of the way. Now I know I don't want to go much further than that where I'm tying all my materials. So I'll bring my thread to the back. I'll stop there. Now I've got 5 feathers prepared. 4 feathers that would be positioned like this and 1 for a hackle. So I've got 2 feathers here now put together. And I'm just going to put them on. I'm going to use a few soft wraps in here just to get the position right. Okay. There we go. That's good. Now we can put the hard wraps on. Now I'm going to put the other pair on. Again, a couple of soft wraps just to hold it in position. Make sure that looks good, about right. If it moves, straighten it up. Double check it. Now what I'll do is I'll pull those feathers together, keep them bunched up so I can really put some tight wraps in here, hold everything in place. Put those in. Now you're going to get a little bit of splaying here, you can see. That's fine. That creates more movement. I'm having trouble speaking today. So with that greater movement, you're going to, as that popper moves, those feathers are going to be like this. You stop the popper, they're going to go like that. You draw them in, they'll close, and then they'll pop open again. So a little bit of splaying. You're not trying to be neat here. You're trying to make this look dynamic in the water. My last feather is a bigger grizzly, and I've cut a little tying in point there. So I'm just going to bring my thread back. Okay, now I'm going to fold this over, being careful not to break the quill. You can use your rotary vise, but here I'm just going to do it without the rotary vise. trim it off. Now what I'm going to do now is just whip finish this. Now I'm going to use some CA glue to get this started. I'm also going to use it to seal the end of the thread so that doesn't come apart. Now it helps to sort of spread the popper body, get it pushed into place. Now I've got an opening here, and I will just seal that up. And what you do is just close it with your fingers and hold it, and you just wait for the glue to set up. And once it's set up, you can let go, and you can see you get a good seal here. So I'm not worrying about water seeping in and weakening the glue. But if I had a large gap here because I used a regular hook, you can see that this would be a problem. That would be open. It would be tough to get that to seal and stay put, and you've got chances of water getting in there and making a mess of things. So I should be able to let that go by now. Oops, you got a little bit of a gap at the front. Let's pour some glue into that. There we go. There's our popper all ready to go. Very simple, very crude design, but it works. These types of poppers have caught fish for years. In fact, on my previous video, I was having a discussion with a fellow from Cape Cod who talked about how they just made poppers out of old buoys, cork buoys, and just drill cores out of them and turn them into poppers. It's the same concept. We tend to think of poppers as having to be elegant things, but really all I have to do is disturb water, move water, make a fuss, things moving around, and it just looks like a struggling bait fish on the surface. A popper like this also could be turned into a good frog pattern as well. Just make sure those feathers splay nice and well. These will just do perfect with that kind of messiness at the back. When you start pulling that through the water, those feathers are going to kick all over the place. This is not a pretty design. It's designed to just move water and catch fish. And they work. I mean, hundreds if not thousands of striped bass have been caught on crude poppers like this, and they'll work for largemouth and smallmouth as well. So give it a try. The Flipflop Popper. Cheers.